Good evening, boys and girls, and welcome to tonight's lesson. Tonight's lesson is called Mixed Numbers and Improper Fractions. Our essential question for tonight is, how can I change a mixed number to an improper fraction, or an improper fraction to a mixed number? Pay attention to this lesson and I'll show you how. The steps are very simple to change a mixed number to an improper fraction. The way you do it is this. You take your denominator and you multiply it times your whole number. And then you just add the numerator. For example, in this example, you would do 2 times 3 plus 1 equals 7. 2 times 3 plus 1 is 7. And then you just keep your denominator the same. So 3 1/2 equals 7/2. Here's why. As you can see, the wholes are all cut into halves because my denominator tells me that they're halves. So this says that I have 3 1/2. So each of my wholes are cut into half. So this is 2 halves equals 1 whole, 3 halves, 4 halves, 5 halves, 6 halves. So as you can see, we have 6 halves, and 6 halves equals 3 wholes. Because we did 2 times 3 equals 6 halves, then we're going to add one more half, that's that numerator, and there we have 7 halves. Let's take a look at this example. On this example, my denominator says 3 because my whole is cut into thirds. So I have 4 wholes and 2 thirds. So the step is multiply denominator times my whole number, and then we add the numerator. So 3 times 4 is 12, plus 2 more is 13, 14. So I'm going to write 14 as my numerator. Remember, my denominator stays the same, so I have 14 thirds. This picture shows why. Do you remember how we did the 4 times 3? Because there's my 3 thirds equals 1 whole, 6 thirds equals 2 wholes, 9 thirds equals 3 wholes, 12 thirds equals 4 wholes. Because 3 times 4 is 12, there are my 4 groups of thirds. And so there I have 12 thirds plus 2 more thirds would equal 13 thirds and 14 thirds. And that is why I have 4 wholes and 2 thirds, also known as 14 thirds. Let's take a look at this next example. Here I have 1 whole and 5/6. Remember our steps. We're going to multiply our denominator times our whole number, and then we add the numerator. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 5 is 11. So I have 11/6. That is my improper fraction. 1 whole and 5/6 would be 11/6. So using that same strategy, let's change the mixed number to an improper fraction. If I have 7 1/5, and I wanted to change that to an improper fraction, remember we're going to multiply 5 times 7 equals 35, plus 1 more would equal 36. So my numerator is 36 parts, and they're cut into fifths, so it's 36/5. So if I had 7 whole pizzas and 1/5, I would say that I had 36 slices, and they're cut into fifths. So 7 1/5 equals 36/5. And let's take a look at this next example. I have 3 1/4. Remember our steps. Let's multiply our denominator times our whole number plus our numerator. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 is 13. And remember, they're cut into fourths. So it'll be 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 is 13 fourths. And this picture will show why. Do you see how I have 3 wholes and 1/4? And I have 3 wholes shaded in with 1/4. So if I counted up how many fourths there would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 3 times 4 is 12. That's where we got this part. Plus our numerator would be that one extra part. So that's 13, and remember they're cut into fourths. So we'd have 13 fourths. So try this one on your own. 5 1/3. And then I want to have you try 2 3/4. Pause the video and try to turn these into improper fractions. Then press the pause button and let's see if we match. Okay, so for this one you should have done 5 1/3 equals 3 times 5 is 15 plus 1 is 16. So you should have written down 16 thirds. 5 1/3 is the same as 16 thirds. For 2 3/4, you should have said that 4 times 2 is 8, plus 3 more is 9, 10, 11. So you should have had 11/4. I hope we matched. Now the next thing I'm going to teach you is what do you do if you have an improper fraction and you want to change it to a mixed number? Well, it's very simple. All you're doing is division. Just think about this fraction bar as a division sign. You would say 12 divided by 5. Or you could think, how many 5s are in 12? If I count how many groups of 5 are in 12, I would know that 5 times 2 is 10. So 10 plus 2 more would equal 12. So my remainder would be 2, and we always keep our denominator the same. Again, I'm going to show you what I just did. I did 5 goes into 12 2 whole times. 2 is left over because that's 5 goes into 12 2 times. That equals 10, 11, 12. There'd be 12 fifths. So my mixed number is 2 wholes and 2 fifths. You can check it by switching this back to an improper fraction. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 more is 12 fifths. It matches. Therefore, 12 fifths equals 2 2 fifths. Let's try some. This question says, change the improper fraction to a mixed number. If I have 22 tenths, how many tenths would that equal? Well, remember, I want you to think of this division, or this fraction bar, as a division sign. So how many groups of 10 can go into 22? Well, I know if I count by tens, I know 10, 20. So I know 2 whole groups of 10 would go into 22. And then I would have 2 left over out of 10. So it would be 2 2 tenths. And remember, you can check it with changing my mixed number back to improper fraction. 10 times 2 is 20, plus 2 more is 22, and that would be 22 tenths. It matches. Let's try this next one. 9 thirds. How many thirds does 9 thirds equal? Well, let's go ahead and say how many groups of 3 can go into 9. If I count by threes, I would say 3, 6, 9. Now, are there any left over? No, there's not. So you don't have to write 3 0 thirds. You can just say 3 wholes. 9 thirds is the same as 3 wholes. So let's try this one. 17 halves. How many groups of 2 can go into 17? Well, let's change that to a mixed number and find out. If you count by twos, I would have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. I know my multiples of 2 would give me 8 groups of 2. 2 times 8 is 16. And then I know that there's 1 left over, so that would be 17. And remember, our denominator stays the same. Now remember, you can check this with multiplication. If you check it with multiplication, you're sure to be right. 2 times 8 is 16, plus 1 is 17 halves. So it does work out. 17 halves is the same thing as 8 wholes and 1 half. So now I want you to try this one on your own. 24 sevenths. Think of this fraction line as a division sign. 24 divided by 7. How many groups of 7 can go into 24? Go ahead and try this one on your own, and then we'll check together. Okay, if you tried this one on your own, you should have said 7 goes into 24 3 whole times, because I know 7 times 3 is 21. Now I'm going to add up to find my remainder. 21, 22, 23, 24. There's 3 left over, that's my remainder, and 7 is my how many parts they're divided into. So 3 and 3/7 is the same thing as 24/7. Let's check it with multiplication. 7 times 3 is 21, 22, 23, 24, 24/7. It matches out. Therefore, I'm correct. So this will be your 2 homework questions for tonight. I want you to look at this table that says which kitten weighs between 1 and 2 pounds. Timber weighs 11/4, Callie weighs 9/6, and Tabby weighs 10/3. If you convert those into mixed numbers, you would know which kitten weighs between 1 and 2 pounds. Question number 2, I want you to tell me which fraction is greater. Would it be 14/3 or 3 1/3? After you're done with your homework questions, I want you to assess yourself. Novice is level 1, apprentice level 2. If you feel like you're novice or apprentice, take the time to rewatch this video and just listen and watch the examples just to let it sink in a little bit more. Level 3 is practitioner. That means that you can do this by yourself. You might get stuck, but you pretty much got it. Expert is level 4. You know this very well and you can teach it to someone. Again, here are your 2 homework questions. Do them both carefully and we will check them tomorrow in class. Have a great night.